Hello, everybody. My name is Tingle, and welcome back to Kooloo-Limpah Tonight. Now, this is our normal interview segment, as we've had for the last 2 episodes, and tonight I have not just a curator, but one of my old friends, Zestira. So, how you doing tonight, Zestira?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well, actually. It's been nice because we were actually talking before we started doing the recordings and stuff, and we were just kind of talking, catching up a little. It's been interesting, especially when you've been talking to like an old friend you haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It's been nice. It was a while ago.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna more ask you questions about the community and stuff, how you feel about certain things, and of course, the casual Zelda related things, of course.
Alrighty.
All right. So when you first joined the community, was it different from what it is now? Like, has it changed greatly at all?
Well, in my opinion, a lot of things has changed, but that's kind of expected as time moves on. Things start to change, but I don't think it's necessarily been a bad change. I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've gotten to know different things, I guess. Well, I think the community has grown a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of change around the community as well since I've been here for about the same time as you have. And there have been good changes to the community, but you gotta admit though, there's been a couple bad changes to it.
Yeah, I can't deny that, of course. But yeah, I think it's something that we can, well, work our way through.
Yeah, and even so, like the changes that we say are bad, they aren't like terribly bad. Like, oh God, what are we gonna do about it? It's just like a casual change, and that's what you're gonna see in a community, especially when it's this big.
Yeah, you're right.
So moving on with like the same kind of thing, like the kind of feel to that question. What was it like when you first entered the team? Because I want to know how you felt about it. Like from then to now, I guess it's more. What I'm more asking is the team different from what it was then to now?
Well, obviously the team has changed because a lot of people has quit the team and a lot of new people has been added. We've recently got our new event team with a lot of new members added, and I'm kind of excited about that. They all seem like wonderful people, and I mean, I know some of them really well, so I'm happy about that. But back to the question. Well, when I first joined the team, I was really nervous because I wanted to make a good first impression. But as I joined, I saw that people were actually kind of laid back. And I mean that in a good way. So I didn't feel pressured to impress anyone. And we all in the event team got along quite well. Well, as time passed, things changed, but I've always seen the event team as a place where I like to, the chat, obviously, that I like to chat in. And I think the event team has wonderful people in it, and I don't think that's ever changed.
Yeah, and when it really comes down to it, we're obviously going to go ahead go from the event team and the careers and the leaders. Most notably for me, at least, was Soul. I still miss him. Rest in peace. May he forever be remembered.
Yeah, Soul was a good leader.
Yeah.
For the time that he was there.
We can only remember the good old days. Yeah, but we can only go ahead and just get more people on there, so we can go have like a bit of a bigger variety, I guess, especially when it comes to like the event team, because then we can have more challenges that are more different from the last one, and we don't have regurgitated content as though that's all we're gonna get. I'll create time. But that aside.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so do tell me, how excited do you feel about all this Breath of the Wild content swarming Amino now? Mainly because you don't have the game personally. Like, do you feel like you're gonna get spoiled or something, or what?
Well, since I am a curator, it's my job to keep check of the feed, and if there is any vlogs spoiling Breath of the Wild that hasn't a spoiler warning, I have to disable it, obviously, since we've added a new spoiler policy in our guideline. So I do think that it's been a little difficult in that sense because, yeah, obviously I don't have the game and I don't want to get spoiled. But it's not been major spoilers, and I haven't seen anything that's like spoiled the game entirely. It's like been only small things, and I think the community has check of what they're doing, because I've seen a lot of people that's checked the guidelines and the announcement blog that Pixel made, and they are well aware that they should add a spoiler warning on top of their blog. So it's been less troublesome to deal with, basically. And I do think that the amount of posts we're getting about Breath of the Wild is, well, I'm not actually concerned about that. I think it's something good because the game makes the community come alive again. We have a new game to talk about. It's exciting. A lot of, and Breath of the Wild is an open world game where there is a lot of things to talk about and discuss, and a lot of things other people haven't really figured out, or I guess like different areas in the game that some people have gone to and some people haven't. Well, in my opinion, I do enjoy the content that we see from users about Breath of the Wild, and I don't mind it personally. I don't, but obviously there can be other opinions about it.
Yeah, and I think everyone has their own opinions about Breath of the Wild, especially when it comes to stuff to just that altogether. That's open world, and that's the newest game.
Yeah,
people are going to judge it greatly because it's the newest game in the series, obviously. And I'm all up for a blog like that, but I don't know. Like when I see all this Breath of the Wild content, like sure, it's nice to see it all. But at the same time, I just kind of miss the good old days when people would make blogs and just polls or stuff like that were surrounding the other older games,
Well,
showing them a bit of appreciation.
Well, I do get what you mean in that sense, and I don't blame you. I do think as soon as there is something new in a franchise community, like the Zelda community that we have, there will be a lot of hype about it. So obviously this is going to last for quite a bit. I do think, and I know that it's going to calm down soon enough, and I think we're gonna see more blogs coming up about the other games as well. I do think this is just something that will last for a bit, and then people will start calming down a little, if I can say that.
That's personally like good news to me, because one, I won't be spoiled if there's something I haven't found in the game yet, because I've already put into over 100 hours of the game.
Oh wow.
I've basically thrown my life away to the game. Like, here you go, game. Here's some life. I don't need all 100 hours of that. I kind of regret it, but I don't regret it, actually. I don't regret it whatsoever. It was so worth it. But yeah, I'm just afraid that I might go ahead and spoil myself in that kind of sense. So I try my best to avoid blogs and posts nowadays, unless it's like a challenge, like if it's a challenge or it's one of the articles. I go ahead and look at those. But there's, of course, a spoiler warning in that sense. I'll be like, okay, just scroll past. But if I start reading stuff and there's a spoiler there, then I'll start to get a little worried. And that's why you get to hear, of course, so we avoid that kind of stuff, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Speaking of which, for spoilers, how excited do you feel about people getting spoiled and then coming to you guys to like complain about the spoiler? Like, does that happen often?
Well, personally, I have never gotten a PM about users complaining to me about them being spoiled. I do think it's because the curators that we have, it might not be a lot of curators, but we are active and we are constantly checking. And in the beginning, there was a lot of blocks to disable, unfortunately. But as time passed, like now, for example, there isn't really quite a lot of blocks to disable. I think the community has understood the rules and we've informed them. And well, I don't really know how to answer the question because I haven't really experienced it, because no one has come to me and complained about that specific thing. But if they were to, I would of course be understanding, because I do understand that they would get pissed considering the fact that they did get spoiled and something that it might ruin the gameplay experience.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you too. Like if, for instance, I were to go ahead and get spoiled about the game, like the game's story, like I've already beaten it before, but if I were to get spoiled about it, I would be really mad because that's something that I've been waiting all 4 years for. I'm just sitting here, just relaxing. I'm all like, I wonder what the story's gonna be like. And some person just goes ahead and comes over to me. They're like, oh yeah, well here's what the story's all about. Here's what happens in the ending. I'll be like, oh come on. Seriously, I've been waiting to go and find that out by myself.
Yeah, I do understand what you mean. Thankfully, there hasn't been any issues that's been brought up to me regarding that. So I'm glad about that.
Yeah, and I guess that really just goes ahead and shows us how well behaved our community is so far, which makes me feel really good to be in the community.
Yeah, likewise.
Speaking of Zelda, since this is a Zelda podcast and everything, I guess I should ask you a few Zelda-related questions. So, do you know of any mechanics that are in Breath of the Wild that you don't like?
Well, that's been previously mentioned that I haven't gotten the game, so I don't know too much. But what I've seen so far has been promising. Well, I don't think there's something that I dislike from what I've seen. Maybe there is some things that might be annoying, but I'm not quite sure actually how to answer that question.
Well, I'm not going to go ahead and say anything about them, because there's a lot of things that you'll have a problem with. Like, for instance, the weather will become a problem to you at times, but it'll come in handy at the same time.
Yeah, I've heard complaints about the constant raining.
Yes, that's a big problem in the game. Like, there's just too much rain, so I think they just need to cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, I do understand that, because I know that if you're climbing something, you can't really do that as well if it's raining. So I do understand the struggle.
Yeah, but I guess we'll just have to see if there's going to be a patch to fix that later on.
Yeah, hopefully.
And since of course you don't have the game, and I don't want to like spoil anything and be rude about it, how about we go ahead? Actually, so I've been wondering, is the reason why your profile picture is the Spirit Maiden version of Zelda, is that because you like Skyward Sword?
I actually do love Skyward Sword. I think a lot of people knows that about me, because, well, I played the game and I don't know what it is, but I've just fallen in love with everything, with the setting, with the story. Obviously, there is some things I would want to change with the game, like any other game. It isn't perfect, but I do love the game a lot.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Skyward Sword is actually personally my second favorite game in the series, mainly because of Breath of the Wild. But before then, it was my first, probably because it was my first Zelda game. But at the same time, it's just because, and people are going to hate me a lot here, but I really liked it for one, the story, two, just because you can go back to places and find new, like more things, as the story progresses.
Yeah.
And three, this is where people are going to get mad at me, is because of the motion controls. I actually really like the motion controls.
I actually did the same. I didn't have any major issues with it. I know people have been complaining about it, and there's a lot of people that really hated it. But I honestly didn't have any problems with it. I think it made the game what it is, and it just gave a new fresh outlook of the game. The puzzles were different, of course gameplay mechanics were different. It just made the game feel better in a way because, well, you were Link in a way. Not exactly, of course, but it did bring the game more alive to me. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's why I like the motion controls so much as well, is because the fact that whatever you would do, Link would do, it really made me feel more immersed into the game, like I was actually in it.
I do agree with that.
And I had to say, yeah, and I had a say in what he did. And I think the only times that the controllers would really bug out on me majorly, even though it wasn't that major, is when I'm maybe find a group of enemies, but even then, it's not that hard to fix up.
Yeah, sometimes when you were trying to hit an enemy a specific way, the sword wouldn't, move, I guess. But that's just my experience, and it wasn't really a big issue. It was just how you were holding it. I guess I understand why people got mad about it, because obviously it wasn't working for some people, but I am one of those people that actually enjoyed it, and it did work for me, so.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for people to understand sometimes, especially if they have a big, massive hate for Skyward Sword. I find it weird sometimes why, but they whenever you say something like that, they'll be like, how do you like that? And we'll be like, well, because it worked well for us. And they're like, how did it work well for you if it didn't work well for me? Yeah,
I understand that, and I can see where you're coming from, but, well, we enjoyed it, so, and it worked for us.
Yeah, I guess it's just if it doesn't work, then I guess you won't be able to enjoy it. But if it does work, then you will enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I know people ask us a lot about certain games, and I'm gonna be really, really normal here. But what was your favorite boss in Skyward Sword?
Oh, I think this is a really common choice of a lot of people when it comes to Skyward Sword, but I really love fighting the boss called Kooloo-Limpah, if I pronounced that right. I hope I did. Well, a little spoiler if some people haven't gotten to this boss yet, but I really enjoyed cutting all the arms off, and then you had to take that huge sword and then just slash your way through, and that was really enjoyable and satisfying, to be honest.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with that too, because my first playthrough with the game, when I first came across the boss room, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, so I gotta fight BoriquaRM again. It kind of makes sense, because it was the first dungeon of the second quest, so
yeah,
it's kind of yeah. But then what happened, he just kind of disappeared, and all of a sudden these body parts come flying together, and it makes Kooloo-Limpah. I'm just like, oh my god, how do I beat this? And it was a really cool fight and all. I really enjoyed picking up the weapon and just smashing him to pieces. That was probably my favorite part.
I know, right?
Yeah, but my favorite boss fight definitely had to actually be Demise. even though people are all like, but why? There wasn't that much to the battle. I'm like, I guess it was like, to me, it's more like the feeling of the fight, I guess.
True.
Like
I can agree with that.
yeah, like I don't know why. It's just that in an area that was just like basically completely war with clouds just kind of looming over you, and the music in the background, I think it all just went well together to go ahead and form that boss fight that would, spoilers to anyone that hasn't played Skyward Sword yet or know the meaning of Skyward Sword, but I think it's like a really good like origin boss fight. You know, that's the final battle that started it all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the setting was really well done, and I did like fighting the mice. I really did. But yeah, I think I enjoyed finding Coloctus a little more, but I enjoyed Skyward Sword as a whole, to be honest. All the boss fights were at least a little enjoyable. Of course, there were some preferences, in my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, one of the major boss fights that everybody says is the worst, which, believe it or not, I actually do enjoy at times, is actually like, you know, the Imprison, because you have to go back and fight it like 3 times? No, 4 times. You have to fight that thing 4 times. First time it just has legs, then it's got a tail, then it's got arms, and then it can fly. And you're just kind of like, can you stop?
Right. Well, I do think that one thing that they could have changed with Skyward Sword was the constant repeating of certain events that just like kept occurring. For example, in this case, the Imprison. I did enjoy the Imprison the first 2 times, but not gonna lie, it did get annoying after that, to constantly having to, you know, strike him down, and it got harder each time. I think they could have changed that, or at least like changed the battle a bit. I know that they did in the last one, I think, because you got to be shoot out of Gru's machine, but I do think they could have gone a little different with it, to be honest.
Yeah, like I can totally agree with you. Like I feel like they should have added not like more of a different element than just the fact that he was bigger in a sense and he had more things to go ahead and knock off. It's just kind of like, you know, like,
yeah.
You just have to add more stuff to it to make the boss fight more memorable, like say a new item that can help out with the fight.
Yeah, exactly. I do think it was lazily done at that point. I do think they could have gone a different way or changed it.
Yeah, but I guess we'll just have to go ahead and see what they do in the HD remake. I'm pretty sure they're gonna make an HD remake for it, to be honest, like for the Wii U or the Switch. Most likely the Switch. But if they don't make one for the Wii U, I'm gonna be really mad. Like, I'll be so mad. Like, I want it so badly because one, I think it would look great with better graphics. You know, like I would do that.
I agree with that. I do think Skyward Sword HD remake would be good because Skyward Sword is one of my favorite Zelda games, but I do think it would be kind of complicated because of the motion controls. I'm not sure if they're actually gonna do it or not. I'm starting to think that they won't, just because of the fact that the motion controls doesn't really exist on the Switch, which is the newest console, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to.
Yeah, it does. It does exist for the Switch.
Well,
you know, in the Joy-Cons, you just take off the just take off the Joy-Cons, and it's instantly 2 different controllers that have motion control. So.
All right, I totally forgot about that. My bad.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, ARMS is a very good example of motion controls being on the Switch, and that's kind of why I think it could be in there. But there's also a bit more proof to it, if you don't mind me saying it.
Well, I do think if they're actually going to make a remake, they would make it for the Switch and not Wii U, because I don't think there is going to be any games coming out on the Wii U anytime soon.
I don't know, like, I just hope. And I think the one thing that keeps my hopes up really high for, like, a Skyward Sword remaster is the fact that in the code for Breath of the Wild, you can actually go ahead and get the Skyward Sword armor set and the Goddess Sword. And so I just keep thinking to myself, I'm all like, that's pretty cool. How do I get that? But the only way to get that is by going ahead and using an amiibo that corresponds with that game. So they need to make a Skyward Sword amiibo, right?
Yeah.
But we can only hope at this point.
Well,
Like, and that's mostly for us Skyward Sword fans. Like, if you're not a Skyward Sword fan, you're probably through this like, stop it.
Well.
So I guess we should probably go ahead and move on to a different topic, sadly.
All right.
So do tell me, like, how do you feel about Amino as a general nowadays? Like, we're not going to just go ahead and stay on Zelda or Zelda Amino. We're going to go full on blown Amino right now. So do tell me, how do you feel about Amino right now?
Do you mean Amino as a whole? I think that's what you meant, instead of like one specific community.
I just mean like completely all together. Everything about it.
All right. Well, in my opinion, basically, I do think that Amino has been updating its layout and adding things a lot, which I find, well, some updates are good, but I do think that some updates could be changed, and some aren't really necessary. So right now there isn't anything huge that's affecting me, but it has. The check-in function, when it first came into the app and the reputation system changed completely, I was not looking forward to it. I had a negative look on it, but I do think now that it's like that it's different, and I do enjoy it for what it is now. I guess it was just me not being used to it at the time. And that's honestly what I feel about some updates. It just takes time to get used to. So I'm trying not to judge, of course, and just take my time to get used to it. There isn't anything huge that's bothering me right now. Because, well, they actually fixed some bugs that's been brought up. For example, there was a square profile picture problem that some people know because I've complained about it to them. But they've actually fixed it now, so I'm all happy. And, well, I do like Amino as a whole. I think it's a good place, to be honest. I've met a lot of wonderful people in Amino. I do think that it's a bit addicting, though. But yeah, a lot of things are addicting. But yeah, I do enjoy Amino a lot.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Amino. With its changes and updates so far. And I think the biggest one that I didn't really like at first, but then, I like now, is the update when they combine all the aminos together, because then things started getting a little weird. Like, you could go ahead and like look up Zelda Amino, but there was like 7 different Zelda Amino communities, and it was really hard for me to find it at first. And then, I eventually found it again, obviously. But I don't know, I guess it was just weird at me for that. But an update I still don't like, believe it or not, is actually that reputation update. Like, I honestly do not like it at all.
Well, is there any reason?
I feel like it's mostly just people in general just more focused on like a race to get to this level. Like, they'll be all like, I bet I can go and get to this level before you can in, per se, a week,
Yeah, a competition feeling. Yeah, that was one of my biggest problems with the update when it came. That was actually one of the things I brought up. I do think it might be an issue in other communities because I have been checking other communities, but in Zelda Amino, which is the community I'm focused and am a curator in, I don't think that there has been a major issue about that fact. So I'm actually glad about that. However, there is certainly a competition feeling, especially with the rankings that you can look at which person has the highest reputation in the community, for example. I do know that there has been competition going on about that, but honestly, I've gotten over it and I've actually learned to like the update. But however, I do get your concerns, but I don't think it's a major problem in the community that we're in.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about it because just more altogether, like we're probably one of the most behaved communities out there, to be honest with you. Like, sure, there's other, like, I think one that's pretty out of hand actually is Undertale Amino. Like, no offense whatsoever, but I just feel it gets a little out of hand at times because there's so many people there.
Yeah, and that's quite sad actually because I think the leaders there and the curators have potential. Of course, I think they do a good job, but I think the problem is that there's too many people and there's too many people to keep track of. So obviously there's going to be trolls, but in communities like the Zelda Amino, there's less members compared to the bigger aminos, and it's just like easier to keep check on everybody, in my opinion.
I can tell, obviously, that is an easy way to go and keep a community together. But at the same time, it can be a hard thing because you need a lot of community members in order to go ahead and like keep a flow going with content.
That's correct.
I know personally from experience. Rest in peace, my communities. Yeah, so you just need a lot of members sometimes. But when it comes to people, to communities like Undertale Amino, Overwatch Amino, not Zelda Amino, but like Harry Potter Amino, like places like that have been there either for a long time or just have a really big fandom, it's hard to go and keep track of that much. And I have like a really high respect for people like who are creators and leaders of those communities because it has to be a lot of work in order to keep track of something that big.
Yeah, I do agree. And I guess that's what I like about Zelda Amino, but then there is the problem that you just brought up about it being less people, so it's harder to keep a flow going. But I do think that after Breath of the Wild released, we did get quite a lot of more members. They don't have to be active, of course, but I do think that the feature feed is getting refreshed and updated pretty often, and I do think people are active and blogging in the community, so I don't think inactivity is a problem at the moment.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about it. I don't know, like I have mixed feelings about the community. So like since Breath of the Wild's release, it's been weird because we've been getting more members, of course, but it's also been weird because it's all people really talk about now. Like I'll go ahead and be like, "Hey, what's up? It's been a while." They'll be like, "Oh yeah, what's up, dude? So you have Breath of the Wild? Oh yeah, do you like it? Yeah, I like it. So what's new in life? Oh, not much. Did you find anything really cool in Breath of the Wild yet? Oh yeah, I did. Is this all you want really to talk about? Yeah, all I want to talk about is Breath of the Wild right now. Okay, we can talk another time then." And that's just kind of how I feel right now, because I feel the community is just a bit too Breath of the Wild driven at the moment.
I do get what you mean about that. And like I've mentioned before, I know this is just going to last a while and then it's going to cool down, because I understand why people are so excited about Breath of the Wild and why it's everywhere in the community. And obviously, that's because of the fact that it's been delayed for so long and we finally got it. And it's a new Zelda game, and we wanted a new Zelda game for a long time now. So I know why people are excited, and I understand that, and I do understand what you mean as well. But like I said, I know it's going to cool down sooner or later, and people are going to focus on other games as well.
Most when it does cool down, I think that's more when I'm going to come back, because that's when I'm mainly going to be like comparing Breath of the Wild to other Zelda games. And this is just more me just being all like, I'm not completely dead yet on Amino, because I'm here, but at the same time, I'm not there. So I don't know. It's been weird. It's been a weird month so far since Breath of the Wild came out. Let's all be honest, guys. Breath of the Wild has changed Zelda Amino for better or for worse. I'd say for the better at the moment, but hopefully it doesn't go ahead and like start going into a down curve. You know.
Well, I do think it's going to go up from here. I'm not really concerned about it going downhill at the moment.
Well, in the end, we can only really see.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that's pretty much going to do it for this segment. Thank you, Zestira, for joining me tonight. It's been quite a pleasure talking with you again.
Yeah, it really has. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So now we're just going to go ahead and move on to our next segment. So do stay tuned. All right, everyone, back here with Key.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking about, well, of course, an item that Key has made. So, Key, what did you make for us today?
Today, guys, I've made for you the legendary Goddess Harp from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This item's been used by Zelda and Link in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword as the instrument used for playing like all 5 songs in the game. And I'm prepared to show you guys how to make it.
All right, so we might as well go ahead and get right into this. Key, what materials will we need, of course?
For this item, you're not actually going to need most in terms of material. You're going to need just some cardboard, or you could do wood, I guess, some rubber bands, and then just some paint for the details. I'd use gold or yellow, whatever you have on hand that's close enough to that. And that's just about all that you're going to need. But let your imagination run wild with these things, guys, because that's what this is all about, figuring out everything for yourself. I'm just here to kind of help you out a little bit.
All right, that's good to know. So how long would you say that this item would take to make?
If you're good with cutting cardboard, then I'd say this wouldn't even take that long, maybe about an hour if you're taking your time with it. If you're rushing this thing, then maybe 30 minutes or 20 minutes. But it shouldn't take too long. Just go for it, guys. There's really no advice I could give to you better than that in terms of your imagination or something. I don't know.
Okay, so like if I say have a job and with school and everything, and say I am also doing a sport, this would be something good for me to do like on the weekends if I just want to do it for a small project, or say, a cosplay.
If you want to use this for a cosplay, it all depends on how much time you want to put into it. If you want to look really, really good like those professional cosplayers, then take your time with this. Go for about 3 hours of work on it, letting the paint dry and such, and getting the cuts right, fills put in accordingly. And that's about all. But if you want to rush this and if you're in a hurry, then it should take only about 20 minutes, and it won't take a whole lot of your time.
Okay, so that's good to know. Speaking of which, so would you recommend to use this item for like cosplayers altogether, or would it be a bad idea?
Well, my projects aren't exactly always the best, so I would look for a more professional tutorial on YouTube. I saw a few good ones, but those are all using a lot more expensive materials and things, and you need a lot more skill. But if you are, again, doing this like a casual cosplay or a rushed one, then it would definitely work out best more than other ones normally, because this one can be done, like I said, in about 20 minutes if you want to rush through it and get it done really fast.
Okay, that's good to know. So another question I thought I'd ask about this would it be wise to use this like as an actual heart?
No, not at all. This thing is literally just for showing off or cosplay purposes. I would not recommend trying to play this at your school fair or talent show. It's just going to be laughable.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing that might fall apart if you use it with like very slim and flimsy items and stuff.
Rubber bands don't play well, man.
That's also true. So, like, you'd have to get like wood and guitar strings for that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or harp. I don't know, like some kind of string. But that's interesting.
If you want to learn how to make a real harp, then just go look for one on YouTube. I can't do that. I'm not like an instrument person. I don't know what you call those people. A person that makes instruments.
I don't know that either, but that's not really what this is. The segment's about. Anywho, so is there any information you'd like to give us about this?
Not really, except for that this item, it's like I said in the beginning, it was used in Skyward Sword by both Link and Zelda. First by Zelda while she was praying at the goddess statues or the springs in the game all across the world. I don't really know. There's not a whole lot of lore I know behind it, except for you can again see it in Ocarina of Time used by Sheik. So if you want to modify this harp later on for a Sheik cosplay, then all you would have to do literally is wrap some white bandages around a certain area of it. And that's about all the lore I have for you, because I don't really know a whole lot about it myself.
So, Key, for like kind of around like close to the end here, but how exactly did you make this item?
With the power of the goddess. I'm just kidding. I didn't actually make this project just yet. It was way back in April that I first made this thing. A few people on Zelda Amino might have actually seen a post about it. But back then it was made out of wood, and I just kind of sanded it off and used rubber bands and stuff. It wasn't incredibly good, but today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a better one out of cardboard, because a lot of you guys don't really have the kind of tools to be making this out of wood. What you're going to do is you're just going to get out nice like 4 or 5 pieces of cardboard all around the same size and cut out in the shape of the goddess harp. From there, you're just going to glue all 5 pieces together, then take a razor to it and kind of shave around it to make it look more like it, because if you just leave it like that, it's going to look flat and it's not going to look too good. But from here on out, that's kind of where you can just put all the extra details in if you have time. Like, for example, you want to have gold spray paint instead of just plain yellow paint, because that looks better. It looks more like to the game. And then rubber bands are what I would use, but if you guys don't have rubber bands, then you don't even have to really put them there if it's for a cosplay, because they're not going to expect you to start playing some songs in that thing. You can't jam out on rubber bands.
You know what you could do, actually, is you could actually play that. You just have to go ahead and,
can?
You should try.
Okay, Tingle, I'd love to see you try playing on the harp a little bit later on, okay?
Play like a bass, because it has like a really neat tone. It's like do 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 do.
And then from there, you're just gonna draw in the little details with a marker, or if you're doing it with wood, use a wood burner. But like I said, guys, there's really not a whole lot to these projects that I've been explaining. These are for you guys to try doing by yourself. I don't think anybody actually tried making the last project, so I couldn't select a winner. But this next project, if you guys want to try this out, I really encourage you to, because it's really fun and simple and easy to do. I'll select a winner, and then you can possibly be featured on the show and a picture of your project if you want to send one to us here at Kooloo-Limpah Tonight. And that's about all.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up this whole segment. Once again, don't be afraid to go ahead and try and make the item, as it is, a bit of a challenge for you guys, and so we can get a bit more interactive with our small fan base. And, just send us what you made. Go ahead and give us a bit of info about it, and then we'll go ahead and see if we or not, depending on either how Key feels about it or how well it was made, So thanks, Key, for stopping by again. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no problem, Tingle. I love coming on the show, and just let me know when you need me again. I love being on here with all you guys, and I love helping you guys with these videos. And yeah, have fun making the project, guys. I know I will.
I know I'll definitely be trying this at one point in time, but I guess I'll have to be another time. But anywho, so I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next segment now. Hey guys, Tingle here. So tonight with me is, of course, we have Big Soul, one of the leaders.
Hi.
And then we have BoriquaRM Lincoln over here. But tonight I'm going to call her Goldenham. So this is more like a new segment for us that we're going to do on our odd episodes when we don't have Brian here with the challenges. We're just going to be talking about, well, things that aren't completely related to Zelda. So if you don't really want to like hear this segment, unless you want to like get to know us a bit more, then go ahead and go to the description below, and we'll have a map layout for like all the different segments of the episode. Pick your segment and move on. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and start a little conversation. What are you guys up to?
Not much. I just had to put Breath of the Wild down.
Actually, same here. Like before I started recording, I was just playing it. And I think I did my 101th shrine.
Oh, nice. I think I got about 83.
Yeah,
since I don't have a Wii U. Yeah, I don't have a Wii U, and I need to like pay rent and stuff, so I couldn't buy the Switch and Breath of the Wild, so I have yet to play it because food.
Yeah.
You can't play. Yeah, you can't really play video games when you don't have a home to play it in.
Understandable.
Yeah, it really is, and like we're not gonna say any spoilers in this conversation, hopefully, so don't worry about that.
See you.
Yep, unless it's one of those tasty glitches, then we just gotta talk about those, because those are top notch. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not, but there's a glitch inside the game that if you go ahead and use stasis on a guardian, it just falls to the world, like, shoom.
I never heard of that.
It's great, yeah. Like, if you go into the Hyrule Castletown area, there's a guardian just kind of in there. If you use stasis on it, stasis plus, of course, and you can go ahead and have it sink to the ground. It's just, I don't know why, but it's just satisfying to watch. And
I'll have to try that.
so I really like
The
it.
one thing I'm really jealous I don't get to do is ride around on bears. I've seen my friends post screenshots of them riding on bears and stuff, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want a naked Link riding around on a bear, setting fire to things and hitting people with a Stalfos arm. Honestly, half of it would probably just be me hitting with Stalfos with the arms, yelling, "Quit hitting yourself."
I mean, yeah, I do that sometimes too, but I'm more for the guy that like hunts down guardian shrines, the ones where you have to fight guardians and try and gather as many guardian weapons as I possibly can, just so that they can kill things faster.
Oh, when they were doing the streaming at E3 of the Breath of the Wild game, I don't know who I was talking to. Like, I knew a few Amino people I was talking with. I'm not sure if you were there. But we were just like flipping out over 6.5 hours or something of us watching the...
Yeah, we were all watching the live stream together, and we were just kind of chilling. It was crazy, because, all these different things were being shown to us, and we're like, holy crap, this is happening! Like...
You're like, oh my god, the art, I can't handle the art!
Oh, well, I was just going to say, me and a couple of my friends actually were doing something similar. It wasn't for E3, but one of them was pretty mad of how little footage they showed. It was for the Game Awards.
Oh, back then, yeah. And might I say, though, that I thought it was interesting how people were theorizing about the magic bar that was up there for that footage. And I think I actually know what it was at the time.
What was it?
Like... when you really think about it, how we have like the stamina now, and we didn't know there was going to be stamina at the time, so maybe that was where our stamina bar was going to be.
Huh. Like, in Skyward Sword, I like the idea of the stamina bar, but I don't like how they executed it. It should have been something that you could have increased over time and over playing, like the hearts.
Yeah, kind of like how they did in Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really like that they did that. It gives you something to strive for going through all those shrines. Especially when you want to climb up Death Mountain and jump in.
Have you done that yet? I personally haven't. I think I should give it a shot, but I have done the Guardian Beast over there.
Do it for the screenshots.
I would jump in. I've literally jumped off cliffs in real life. Tingle, did you like?
I don't think I did.
Of myself
crap.
Jumping off the cliff.
Wow.
Yeah, this was back when I shaved my head, all my hair off.
I remember that.
I shaved all my hair off, pulled the Brittany.
That was great. And you asked what kind of cancer you wanted us to go ahead and name, like tell your friends that you had. I remember what I said, but it's very.
I don't know who asked. Like, do you want
it's
to tell people?
inappropriate for this.
Do you want people to tell me you have cancer, or do you want us to tell me you have cancer? Like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because like running around saying I had cancer is too far. But if people think I do, it's gonna be like, well. Oh, yeah, I remember, like, society. That's my cancer.
Oh, that's bad. I mean, it's true, though. Like, with how everything's just kind of been going on.
This was before elections. Maybe it was, like, the elections. That's my cancer. The elections.
Maybe. We should probably stop talking about the elections now before things get pretty heated.
I mean, we should probably cut this part out.
Can I go back to the glitches?
Yeah, sure.
I heard that there was this one on the Great Plateau where you can get a blood moon during the day.
Really?
I think that'd be pretty useful if you want to, I don't know, collect some plants, hunt some, get some meat.
That'd be really good. Like, if you could get a blood moon during, like, on the Great Plateau, then you can go ahead and go back to the stone talus up there, like, repeatedly. You could go ahead and farm that and get a lot of money out of that, so.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. Even though it's only, like, a rupee or something, but that's cool. I know that Abraham can't really, or, my bad, Goldenham can't really, like, talk much about it, but have you seen anything, like, really cool in Breath of the Wild so far? Like, this world altogether.
I've seen this one, you know, the bloopies, the rabbit things you hit for money, and they give you rupees. There's this one deer-looking thing up on, I think it was Satori Mountain.
I know what that is, actually.
Yeah, I think it was in some of the footage, and you can ride it. I have yet to ride it. It got away from me the first time, but I think that thing's design, it's pretty darn cool.
It is really cool, and to be honest, it reminds me a lot about Princess Mononoke and the God of the Forest, I think it was. Or maybe the Sphere of the Woods. One of the two. But, have you seen that movie?
No.
You need to watch that, for starters, because, like, if you go ahead and watch that movie and start playing Breath of the Wild again, you'll be like, holy crap, this is, like, the same game. This is like, the same thing, like, holy crap. And I think that's what I love most about it, is because it just kind of takes me back to watching that, and it's a fun movie to watch.
I think you could do the same thing with, like, playing Skyrim and then going to Breath of the Wild.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, holy crap, it's really
Except
hard.
I think the survival is more intense in Breath of the Wild, which I really love.
Yeah, and I really like that too. I think the only thing that was like kind of sad that they didn't add to like a survival thing is like probably like kind of what they have in Minecraft, you know, with like a hunger thing where you have to kind of constantly eat food. That way cooking is more prioritized and stuff. But you get what you get, you know, so.
Yeah, I think I prioritize cooking too much since my meal slots are always full.
Yeah, I don't always keep them full. I'm constantly like exploring for like money and weapons and armor, other than like going out looking for food. Like, where are them shrooms at? I need to find some. That guy in the shop is just looking at me like, we don't have any shrooms, sir. Well, give me some. We don't have any. Sir, I'm high. Give me a minute. Hold on a second, sir. I'm looking for some shrooms. First time I found highly shrooms, I was literally like, I will get high off of this stuff. Let's go.
That's not something I crossed my mind. The first thing I was thinking when I was picking all these mushrooms, like, how are any of these not poisonous?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what the hell?
I got spanked for picking these mushrooms when I was a little kid, and now I'm just picking them like crazy in that game, and I'm feeling kind of nervous about it.
If my mom and dad saw me doing this, I would not have a butt.
Mushrooms are disgusting to begin with. Why would you subject Link to mushrooms?
How dare you?
Fungus! There's this fungus popping out from the ground, and it's like, why would you eat this fungus?
Oh yeah, that was
Tasty fungus, though.
taste gross. They smell terrible. The texture is terrible. They're all slimy and.
Well, I think if it's where they come from and how they look, I have to start questioning ham.
Yeah, like let's look at the mushroom for instance. Have you seen that thing? It's this purple glob on like a lighter purple stem, and you're just kind of like, who would eat this? And then there's this one guy grew at a stable that's all like, I'll take 50 of those.
No.
Okay, but who decided to eat eggs to begin with? Like, just think about anything. Like,
I want all that.
Chicken's butt.
I don't usually ask where food comes from. I just eat it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like with my lifestyle, it's just kind of like, there's food. I'm all for it. Let's do this.
I think Goldenham's gonna have a problem when I tell her I've had alligator jerky.
That sounds delicious, actually.
I've never had alligator, actually.
I didn't even know it was alligator. I thought it was just regular jerky. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's where this came from. I'm still eating it.
I actually eat real Mexican tacos, not like that Taco Bell crap or Chipotle.
Yeah,
we call Taco Bell Taco Smell because all my brothers get gassy.
Oh.
There's a lot of Mexican, like there's a big Mexican population, and my friend once made me real Mexican tacos, and I'm like, my entire life has been a lie. Why did I ever think that any restaurant claiming to be authentic is this? Like, they don't use cheese. That's an American thing.
I know, like it's ridiculous. Like my dad would go ahead and because his mom was really Mexican. She would go. He went ahead and made tacos for us a couple times when I was younger. He doesn't do it much anymore, but when he did, they were like really good. Like he would go ahead and like fry the shells and then put the meat in there. They were small, but they were good.
I think I'd insult him because I put cheese on everything.
He would always have stuff out. Like he'd have like guacamole, some salsa, some lettuce or cabbage. I can't remember what the difference between the two is. Okay, like can someone explain to me what the difference between a head of cabbage and some lettuces? Like what's the difference between the two? Can someone explain this?
One tastes like butt and the other one's good.
I wonder which one tastes like butt.
Cabbage.
How dare you?
Sauerkraut is just fermented cabbage. That's what sauerkraut is. It's a different type of plant entirely.
Huh.
Well, personally, I like spinach.
Spinach is really good.
Yeah, something we can agree on.
The one vegetable that I've been becoming obsessed with is spaghetti squash.
Huh, I don't think I've ever tried that.
What? What's spaghetti squash? Like
it's a squash, like when you cook it, and you can easily pull it apart with a fork, and it very long and stringy and resembles spaghetti. That's where it gets its name.
I'm not usually a big fan of squash, so I don't know.
I don't have any words to explain how confused I am now. Like,
Google it.
I'm gonna Google that. I'm Googling it now. Okay, I'm Googling this stuff. What is this?
And because I'm literally allergic to everything, well, not literally, but I have so many food allergies that, spaghetti squash, yay, it's a good gluten substitute. There's no real substitute for dairy or soy, though.
I don't think I'd be able to survive as lactose intolerant.
I'm not lactose intolerant.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I just don't think I'd be
Really?
able to live anymore.
There's no real substitutes for milk or soy, and that I'm technically not lactose intolerant because there's two major allergens in milk. Lactose, which is the sugar, and casein, which is the protein. So things can be lactose-free, but not dairy-free still, because there's still the protein.
I learned something new today.
Yeah, it can be very confusing.
I learned something new today too.
What?
Spaghetti squash looks like something out of Alien. Like what? Why? Who would do this to someone?
like me saying that I'm obsessed with spaghetti squash, don't be fooled. I'll eat an entire pack of Little Smokies in one sitting and love it.
I mean, I would totally do the same thing, to be honest.
Like, have you ever made a Little Smoky sandwich? You just like cut them in half and just make it into a big old sandwich and start eating it.
I don't think I have, but
Are those small, like s'mores?
no, they're little sausages.
Little tiny cocktail sausages.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Like, those are the things that you hear so many people make inappropriate jokes out of. Like, they'll be all like, blah, 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 blah. And something about Smoky D's, and you're just kind of like, oh my god. You can just take me off this earth now. It's not worth it. Why am I here?
I think I could do the same thing, but with better cheddars. They're just basically beef hot dogs with cheddar inside. Also known as Bites of Heaven.
I think we found Pixel's secret obsession, everyone.
Food.
Cheese.
Not a secret, though. Not at all.
Well, not anymore, of course.
I should put that in my profile.
You should.
Warning,
You
cheese included.
I'm not so secretly obsessed with my family's dog.
He's, what's your dog's name?
Wilson. Like, Wilson from House, not the volleyball, because my brother and I were obsessed with the show House when we got him. You know, so before we got him, a year, like a couple months, like 6-7 months beforehand, we had to put our other dog down, and we had 2 Goldens at the time. We put that one dog down, and my brother was in school at Mizzou, which is University of Missouri Columbia, and it's been in the news lately, or a few years ago actually. I don't know, I'm old now. But my little brother came over from Mizzou, and like my dad and I have been trying to convince her to get another dog, and he comes home and says, "Hey mom, let's get a dog," and she was basically, "Okay." She will tell it differently, but me, my brother, and my dad all say it probably took him about 3 days to convince her to get a new dog after coming home from college.
Nice. I do love dogs, though, too. Like, my mom has 3 Shih Tzus, little yappers, and I don't know if you'll know this reference, but if you can drop kick it over a fence, it's not a dog. But I finally talked her into getting a German Shepherd, and when our dog sitter came over, she exclaimed, "You finally got a real dog!" And I gained a lot of respect for her that day.
See, I don't even know if our golden retrievers can be called real dogs, because they're just big babies.
They really are.
I mean, when Wilson was a little puppy, I used to rock him and sing him his name, and now he thinks he's the most important thing in the world. So,
my German Shepherd thinks she's a Shih Tzu since she grew up with them. She thinks she can sit in everyone's lap.
Oh, that's golden retrievers. That's just big dogs in general. They think they are lap dogs, and they're tiny and little, and then the little dogs think they're these big, strong dogs.
Yeah, definitely.
But what bugs me is that people think it's cute when their little dog tries to attack a big dog, but no.
That actually happened.
You're lucky our dog has self-control, because it can bite your dog in half.
Right? Yeah, that actually almost happened to my old Jack Russell going after a lab. He wasn't too bright. I actually chased him off, though. I thought that was pretty funny. If not, after you got over the oh no dog fight.
Yeah, I guess like sometimes when it comes to dogs, you just kind of look at them and you wonder yourself, like, do they go to high school? Because this is what high school looks like, you know, like you see all these little kids kind of going like, "I'm gonna mess up you real bad," and you're just kind of like, "I'm gonna go over here." Chill.
You just described my life. Yeah, when it comes to high school, I think people can be a little too egotistic. But then when you finally go to college, everyone's just like, meh, doesn't care anymore.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've heard from. I mean, personally, I'm in high school, but that's what my siblings tell me.
Oh, yeah.
okay, either people are either completely chill or they're uptight anal social justice warriors. There's really no in between.
Truth.
Love that analogy.
That is so true, though. Okay, wait, but this is just more like a question for everyone, and everyone should watch the show. But have you guys seen Drunk History?
No.
No.
Oh my god. Okay, so basically what it is, it's about this guy who goes ahead and like kind of goes around the country, of America, and he goes ahead and gets these historians to come onto the show, and they get drunk while telling a bit of history,
Wow.
Sounds interesting.
It is, and so my favorite episodes, one of my favorite episodes is where he managed to go ahead and get Lin-Manuel, the writer of Hamilton, and he was telling the story of Alexander Hamilton, and this one part that you probably didn't know is that when Hamilton came into America on his ship, it caught on fire. So as he described it, these are his words. So here's Hamilton coming in on a flaming ship, going like, I'm going to go ahead and teach you all a lesson. Looking like just the greatest of warriors, just kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it sounds like a riot, but I don't usually watch a lot of TV or movies. Usually when I do, it's when my parents decide to take the family out for the latest Disney, Pixar, or whatever movie. Like just yesterday. Yeah, like just yesterday we went and saw Boss Baby. And that's probably one of the most inappropriate kids movies I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
The only thing that I like about it is just the thought of Alec Baldwin as a baby.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, once I walked out of that theater, I was worried that my 5-year-old niece would be fond of the phrase "suck it."
That's one of my favorite things to say to people, though.
I mean, same though. I'll go ahead and like be in the middle of a conversation. Someone will say something to me. I'll be like, "Well, you can just suck it, okay?"
Or like when I'm just get all obsessed with baseball and I'm like sucked into a game and like the other team strikes out, I'm like, "Yeah, suck it."
Yeah. Oh, another thing. My mom could tell me my favorite part before I even said it. So the kid was reading to the baby, like trying to look normal, reading the story of Hansel and Gretel. And
wow.
So he was kind of paraphrasing it, saying, "And Hansel and Gretel threw the godless witch into the oven, and she miserably burnt to death." And
okay, maybe I should watch it. Oh no, though, like, could it possibly be my most recent favorite movie? And this is a bit inappropriate for like really young people, but like, don't look at what the movie means if you're not like out there, like the weirdest of weird, and you're like mature enough. But Sausage Party.
Yeah, that's not the kind of movie that I'd probably watch, actually. I just started watching PG-13 movies. Believe it or not, I'm 18 and...
Wow, you're missing out on a lot here then.
I know, people will ask me, do you come from a sheltered home or something?
Yes, I did.
It was by choice.
I'm still shocked that my parents let me play Zelda as a kid. We weren't allowed to do Halloween as kids. I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music until I was 13.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
I grew up very sheltered.
I think we're like total opposites because my parents know I won't do anything. They'll let me do whatever I want. Anything that I don't know or don't see is my choosing. They would let me play rated M games since I was 10.
I mean, yeah, same here. Like, first rated M game I think I ever played actually was like Call of Duty World War II.
Mine was Halo.
It was more or less disappointing. I'm more like that kind of adventuring guy, like in Skyrim.
Yeah.
That's the one I really enjoy. But I think it's mostly teen games that I like, because those are the ones that involve a lot of exploration and a lot of collectibles you can get. Unless we're talking Far Cry or The Witcher.
Yeah, or
Destiny. I'm
Assassin's
triggered.
I like Assassin's Creed. I just had to bring one up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, no one can go ahead and have a conversation about very damn games without bringing up Assassin's Creed, because it is one of the better games out there.
One of the first N64 games I can remember playing is Jet Force Gemini. Before even Legend of Zelda, there's this weird game, Jet Force Gemini. I'm not. How many of people listening know that game? But I remember playing that before Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I vividly remember the Oracle games. I actually remember talking with my brothers, saying like how I wish Game Boys were in color, and that I was like, no, like, just to give you an idea of my age, 27. But I mean, I vividly remember Game Boy Colors coming out. I mean, I wasn't like a really little kid. I was a little kid. Like, honestly, if you're under the age of like 14, you're like a little kid to me. If you're between the ages of 11 and 14, you're probably just gross. Don't talk to me. If you're aided, I just pray for you because there's something wrong with you.
Ow! That hurt. That hurt my heart. I'm just kidding. I don't have a heart. I threw that away a long time ago.
And replaced it with an Xbox.
But you know,
we're going to some dangerous territory here, guys. We're going to some dangerous territory here. We're talking about Xboxes.
No, go back to Nintendo.
You know, my car's in the perfect age to become a leader on Amino.
You know, it really is, and I think you should make a community based around your car.
I should. Yeah. And just have to be a leader because it's older than most people on Amino.
Just imagine, like, say, 10 to 15 years from now, and imagine that we're all still on Amino, and there are those new people that come in and like, who are you? Oh, I was here 10, 15 years ago. God, you're old, get out of here. Gosh. You're just kind of like, what have I done wrong?
Yeah, I think Amino's age group, especially Zelda Amino, is usually between the ages of 15 to 20.
Yeah. And then you'll...
It just seems that
and then you'll occasionally come across that person that's like, say, 11 or 12. And I like when they try to attempt to make content. I mean, I can't tell what their age is, but I like it when people attempt to make content. But sometimes I just can't help but cringe at the content. I'm sorry, guys, but I gotta say this. I can't help but cringe at some content because, like, oh my gosh. The grammar. Like, it hurts me physically how they write it. Like, you'll see.
Bad grammar.
Oh.
We're gonna make Tingle the grammar police.
Oh, I just, please, Amino, Team Amino, improve grammar. We should have a grammar Amino. We need a grammar Amino. Enforce this.
I bet there is.
I will become...
But you know there's going to be people who go in there and use the wrong homophone for absolutely everything. I'm actually working on writing a book using the wrong homophone for everything and just make it the most uncomfortable, cringiest book you'll ever read. And I'll also try to use the word moist as often as possible.
Oh God, please don't. You are going to kill me and my family because we are like at the top of the leaderboard of those grammar Nazis. Like you'll see me, I'll be like Adolf Hitler of the grammar Nazis, and I'll be like, no, stop there. That's not right.
So, like, if you read the book out loud, it makes sense. But when you look at it on paper, but if you're reading it and looking at it, it makes absolutely no sense grammatically.
That's why I don't like texting a lot of my teenage friends, actually, is because I can never understand what they're saying.
Oh my gosh.
I've been made fun of for using semicolons in text messages in an appropriate context.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So, if you don't use a semicolon in an appropriate context, what is wrong with you? You should get excited to use semi.
Either use it correctly or just don't use it at all. That's that's why I like to say.
Like, okay, are you guys as bad as this? You get excited to use a semicolon correctly?
I think for me it's more apostrophes. Or wait, I don't know. Never mind.
Alright, that's all we could really go ahead and fit into this segment of the show. If you want to go and hear the rest, I'm afraid you guys are going to have to wait until we release our first mini-episode. Mini-episodes will be more discussed towards the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us, Pixel. It was nice having you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun for me too.
You're more than welcome to go ahead and come back on another episode with us if you want to, like, give out a message to the community or just talk with us all together.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like whenever you guys have free crap or whatever, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Alright. Awesome. I guess I'll see you later then.
See ya.
Alright, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Kooloo-Limpah Tonight, as we had a lot of fun making this one as well. Well, actually, for me, mostly, it was the segment with Pixel, but we can talk about that at a later date. So, you're probably wondering what this segment is here for, as last time it was more just like a thank you for watching the first episode. This one is, well, I guess it's for your opinions, and just a few things that we'd like to announce. One of them being, this is like the main thing here, guys. We're looking for a musician. In other words, we're looking for someone that can go ahead and make music, go ahead and make background music, and possibly the intro and outro to each episode. Now, if you want more information about this job, and if you're interested by it, then you can go ahead and go to our Amino account, Kooloo-Limpah Tonight, or you can go ahead and email us at kooloo-limpah-tonight@gmail.com. If you want to go ahead and look at that email again, it'll be in the description below. Now onto a more interesting thing. So I hope you guys like the content that we make, because we will be making some mini episodes. Now these won't be like too specific. We're still like brainstorming ideas for what they could be. But more just so you guys get an idea of what they are. It's gonna be stuff like looking into what we do, maybe some cuts that we did, some things that didn't quite make the cut of the episode, and quite possibly stuff like fan fictions and fan theories as well. And we're just gonna basically be making those in between the main episodes, so I hope you guys look forward to those, because that's kind of what we're going for with these, just to go ahead and keep you guys filled with content. And this is kind of related to the mini episodes as well, but we want to see what you guys, we want to know what you guys want us to see do next, like some ideas for maybe some segments. Like, do you want to see us have a specific person on the next coming up episodes, or just tell us what you guys want to see us do, and something that's possible, not something impossible that we can never do. And just for like a last heads up kind of thing, so if you guys haven't noticed at all, or just at all whatsoever, the photos we use for our characters, my character right now, Tingle, and the others, just like Zestira's, they look very good, but they're a bit stiff and they just kind of relax. We want them to feel more alive, so we're quite possibly thinking about hiring an animator. It's kind of a bit of a big deal here. So if you want some more information on like what we're looking for an animator, just kind of go to the email that I talked about a bit ago. That's right there, kooloo-limpah-tonight@gmail.com. Go there for some more information on that if you want to know more. We appreciate it a lot. So that's pretty much everything for this little talk with you guys. So I guess I'll go ahead and see you all in the next episode. See you next night, guys.